And we're back. Let's go to Morris. Morris is on line 8. Good afternoon, sir.
And a good afternoon to you, Pete.
Good to hear from you again. It's been a little while.
And it's a beautiful afternoon here in Green Bay.
Glad to hear it. I hope it's coming this way.
The sun is shining out and all kinds of icebergs out in the bay.
Pea soup. Couldn't see an iceberg if it was in my backyard.
What, in St. John's this afternoon?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Is that right? Now, I'm a little upset with you, and how can I tell you off in a good manner, Pete?
Just heave it out to you, and I'll take it.
I was listening to you the other, last week, I believe it was, and you were talking about that you were a little upset, and when you go to a public function, and a meal is served, and they say a blessing over the meal. You referred to it as a Christian blessing. If
it's a specifically Christian or one religion at the exclusion of others, absolutely.
Now, I don't think you should be you should be upset over that type of thing. Now, here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we are basically a Christian society.
So not entirely, are we? And the audience is not entirely Christian.
Not entirely,
right.
But I'd say a good 90% of us, or probably 95%, are of the Christian faith, okay?
So the rest should just grin and bear it rather than expect one that's including everybody.
Well, and that doesn't mean that I'm upset or anything about any other religion. I've lived with that all of my life, and they are my friends, and I accept them for that, and we welcome them to this province. But I don't think we have to change all of our particular symbols and beliefs because one or two other people have a different faith.
But there's a dead giveaway, Morris, when you said all of our, and that's presumptuous for one thing, and it means that you've been excluding them so long you've forgotten or you're indifferent about excluding them.
It's not presumptuous. It's not presumptuous at all. It's a fact that we are a Christian community, a Christian province. We believe in certain principles.
So whatever the majority is, that's all you got to worry about, and shag everybody else.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Sounds like it.
No, not at all. And I think it's not right for you to be using the public airwaves and getting paid through the media for expounding your particular ideas. Well, I don't think that's your position or your
I'm
right.
Throwing it out there for conversation, and I can pretty much throw at anything I like, Morris, whether or not I believe it or I'm doing it as a devil's advocate or for whatever reason. It's my job to get conversation going, keep it going, and make it as engaging as possible. But I think that there is a distinct issue with preferring some members in the audience over others and assuming that they're okay with it, and if not, shag them, they can just tough it out, and so what? I mean, just the fact that we have always traditionally been primarily Christian doesn't necessarily mean that we have to exclude people when there are options. Why not do one that's nothing? That's essentially saying, look, we're all grateful, we agree with that, and it's wonderful to be here, amen.
No, it's not like that. We just, over the years, we have defended the Christian faith. We have many of people here in Newfoundland, by the hundreds, have laid down their lives to defend the Christian faith. And my uncle, my mother's brother...
Defend the Christian faith? I thought we were defending our way of life and our freedom, not necessarily including the religious aspect of it.
Well, there was people like Hitler probably wanted to destroy...
He was a Christian.
Pardon?
He was a Christian.
Yeah, but I question that very much. If you're killing off a particular,
well, listen, there are an awful lot of unchristian things done by people of the cloth and of very much the Christian faith here in this province as well. Just because you say you ascribe to the teachings of Christ doesn't necessarily make you a Christian in behavior, right?
No, but what we have in our societies over the years. Sure, there have been lots of mistakes. You might look at the problems with various clergy and that type of mistakes. Or anything.
That's kind of you to call them mistakes, Morris. But anyway,
these are problems. But I mean, over the couple of thousand years, despite all of the problems, we've built a society society in the European continent and the North American continent. We'll build a society that's better. But it's in terms of our standard of living, et cetera, as good. Well, I would say better than any other society. So we got nothing.
Oh, and that's based on our adherence to a Christian faith. That's necessarily the reason why we've built a good society.
Yes,
it's superior to other religions. You're telling me that it is the superior religion.
I'm not saying that people can practice their own religion
or none.
Pardon?
Or none.
Or none. That's entirely up to them.
Some people might say we have the society in spite of our adherence to not necessarily the teachings of Christ, but to the keepers of that faith, the people who've been in charge of these various Christian religions.
Yeah, well, but what I'm saying to you, we've built a good society on good Christian principles, and if it's the Lord's Prayer in the school, or if it's something that's said in a courtroom.
Christianity doesn't own all those principles, by the way.
No, they don't own them, but we certainly adhere to them, and there's a lot of people that have committed themselves to protecting the Christian principles. And all I'm saying to you, as a moderator of that show and as a public figure, for you to be expounding, because you weren't just trying to create controversy the other day. You were expounding a particular idea.
I don't like the fact that we leave people out and we assume that even if they're in the audience, they should sit there and take it when there's people who not only have other faiths, but also have none, and maybe take objection to the fact that they are having to endure yet another tip of the hat to a faith that they don't subscribe to, and everybody's fine with that, and too bad about them if they don't.
Well, if you didn't want to be exposed to that particular environment, why were you there? I'm supposed to forego a particular event because they are insisting on having a particularly Christian grace or some protocol that includes it. Are you serious? Exactly. If you don't want to be there.
I want to be there for everything else, but why should that have to be necessarily a part of it today?
I got a feeling there's a lot of people in our society here in Newfoundland that might not invite you there anymore if they know you're of that particular persuasion, that you don't even want a blessing said at your meal.
Listen, I didn't say I didn't want a blessing said. I said, does it have to be of a particular faith? There are lots of blessings that include everybody, and we need not exclude anybody. Why are you so opposed to saying something that is general enough that nobody can take offense to it or have a problem with it?
With 90% of us, or 90, I don't know, but we're certainly up in the 90, probably 95% of us.
You've been to church lately? Have you seen the pews filled up in your church lately? Do you think everybody's there and insisting on a particularly Christian blessing at every occasion, whether or not it's just a government or a public function not tied in any way to a religious institution?
Well, and maybe we can go a little bit further and take all of the Christian things out of the schools and that. But it's basically a
That's
Christian
already
society.
Happening.
Yes,
That's already happening.
It is happening because of people like you and many others that are. But it's only happening. But why should it happen for 2 or 3 people to take down a cross from a school in St. John's? I think
you might be a decade or two behind the times there in terms of the 2 or 3 people, depending on how many people you're talking about. But if you're talking about a school, obviously it's a considerable number.
But no, but it's an idea.
It's part of an indoctrination, Morse. In today's you can separate church and state, I think, easily. No one need to be offended by it, and I'm perfectly comfortable with that assertion.
And there's no need of you being offended by going to a public function and somebody saying a blessing. That's all I'm saying. There's no need of you
I'm not offended by the blessing. I'm offended by a specific blessing that inherently leaves lots of people out, almost invariably.
But there's any number of people in our society that is committed to defending the Christian faith.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people committed to defending other faiths.
Yes, and
not being subjected to the favoritism.
And so be it, but we can't allow 1 or 2 people to dictate or change everything that we've been used to over the years. if we believe in the Christian faith. That's what I'm saying to you today.
And I'm saying it's not one or two people.
No, I know,
and be prepared to be a very unhappy person about this in the years to come, because it's the change is only going to come faster and more complete.
It might not, and there's a lot of us, there's a lot of people that we are the silent majority, and we're not standing up for the beliefs that we have, and very seldom will anybody take you on or take on any other person that's of course
having still, and I wonder what the majority is, but having still a majority doesn't mean you got to lord it over and force everything your way down people's throats, Morris.
We haven't got but we're not going to change it. We've taken. I mean, the Gideons were distributing the New Testament in the schools. That had to go. We take the Lord's Prayer out of the schools. That got. We take the commandments down on all of the different icons associated with Christianity. All that got to go. I think it's crazy, Pete. From my point of view, I think it's crazy. We defend the Christian faith, and we adhere to it, and we believe in it, and
You're speaking for yourself there.
Pardon?
You're speaking for yourself there, yes.
Well, I think you were absolutely speaking for yourself the other afternoon by saying that you were offended.
I think I'm a little bit more inclusive of everybody. I'm saying that why say a grace that is for a specific percentage of the audience when you could say something that is all-inclusive?
No.
I'm for inclusivity. You're for exclusivity.
If we believe in a particular philosophy or a particular doctrine, it's our responsibility to uphold that and to defend it if we believe in it. And what I'm saying,
as long as you have the majority, so you wouldn't even go along with other people getting up and saying their particular faith's blessing.
That's up to them. That's up to them if they want to kneel on the floor. If they want to kneel and say...
Well, it's up to the majority to allow them in your book. It's up to the majority to allow that in your book.
Sure, they can do it, but that doesn't say that we can't say a Christian blessing in our society here in Newfoundland and Labrador. And it's going to be a long time before that's thrown out, Pete. Regardless,
probably so. You're probably right there. I think it would be polite to ask, perhaps.
No, it's not. It's not political.
It's impolite not to.
To ask the Lord to bless the food that we are about to eat I don't think it should offend anybody, because that's the beliefs that we had down through the ages, and I think there's going to be a job to change that.
Fair enough.
Even though we have a very small percentage of society.
You keep trying to keep it, and I'll keep trying to change it. How's that?
I know you are, but I don't think you should be using the public airwaves. They're getting paid to. Now, if you're going to...
I'm allowed to have an opinion, Morris. I'm not a journalist. I am a host, and I'm allowed to have an opinion on this or any other subject.
Yes, but
thank you.
But if you're promoting that, go out on the street like the other people.
I brought it up because there was an issue at the time about...
Go out on the street like the other people you were talking about, the other Jehovah's...
About a religious verse at a school that was not going to be put up in the new school. I brought it up and threw it out there to see if anyone wanted to talk about it, and apparently there are.
Yes, and as a result, you went, of course, to me over the edge in promoting that. But if that's your philosophy, go out on the street and promote it, and never mind using the public airwaves to promote it. That's my philosophy. That's my idea.
I'll do it there. I'll do it here. I am talking about inclusivity, and I have no issue with that. And I have no issue with promoting that.
And I know that, and that's why you're promoting. And I am promoting today...
Exclusivity.
I'm promoting a Christian belief that we adhere to for many, many generations.
Exclusivity.
And hope, well, if it's exclusive, so be it. If other people don't want to be a part of the Christian...
Maintain the status quo, even though it essentially makes people different in terms of their status. 2-tier, 3-tier, 4-tier. Okay.
But Peter, how can you change if you believe in a particular doctrine, which is the Christian faith? How are you going to change it? Are we going to throw it off? No, we're not going to throw it out.
I think a Christian doctrine says, do unto others as you would have done unto you. And I don't think you would necessarily like it if people dismissed your position when it came to being left out.
Well, if I was in India or if I was in China and they performed a particular function and there's only a few of us there, I would expect them to continue on with their tradition if they believed in it. Why should I change that particular philosophy?
I think there's a little difference possibly between India in terms of the races, religions, and creeds and whatnot. We are an inclusive society. Canada is perhaps one of the leading societies in terms of everybody being involved and equal, and I think we should start reflecting that when and if we can.
Yeah, well,
whenever.
But that's your belief and that's your philosophy.
And we're talking about a public situation here, like perhaps a municipal event or a provincial government event. And why should we assume that everybody in the room is A, of the same faith, or B, okay with excluding them from any aspect of it?
Because that's the basis of, in my idea, that's the basis of our society as of now. Okay?
You're saying our society is immune to change, Morris.
Yeah, but not if you believe in a particular philosophy and you adhere to that philosophy. I mean, that's a dogma that we believe in, and I mean, it's not up for debate or change if you believe in these basic principles.
Am I allowed not to believe in that particular dogma and to eschew dogma?
You can believe in what you want to, Pete. I'm not arguing against.
Well, I'm not allowed to say it on the radio.
Not in terms of you getting paid by some of the promoters of that show.
So because I'm performing a service for remuneration here, I should absolutely sanitize myself of all perspective, of all opinion on all subjects, Morris?
No, I'm not saying that on all.
No, just on the one that you particularly care about.
I'm saying that on a particular subject, which is saying a blessing, a Christian.
On the one you care about, on ones of your choosing, I'm supposed to be different than I am on all the other subjects.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. You do your thing. But what I'm saying, you can't propagate that particular philosophy.
In your opinion, because your opinion is superior to mine.
I never said that.
Well, that's the implication here, my friend. That's the implication.
I believe in a particular dogma, which is the Christian faith, and I'm defending it here now. Mm-hmm. That we will continue to say the blessing, and hopefully we won't be so foolish as to tear down some of the Christian comments like Grenfell put on his building sounds and that. I think would be everyone's responsible.
I'd like to see it become a personal thing and used and practiced in private or in places of worship designated for that particular faith.
We have done very well down through the centuries with a Christian faith.
Yeah, we've done good and bad. We've done good and bad.
Good and bad, but there's been more good than bad.
I think other religions have done good and bad, too. I don't think we necessarily get to lord ours or raise up ours higher, even though if that's your choice. I think that you insult other religions by assuming or suggesting that we have something superior going on here necessarily.
We have so good a society as a Christian society in North America as in any other country or religion-based country.
I'm not going to argue that, but I'm not going to give all the credit to the Christian faith necessarily. I think that good human decency plays through, and I think that happens regardless of the faith that seems to be predominant. Anyway, Morris, I'm well over time.
Nice talking to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All the best.
Bye-bye.